And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. This is Snack Pack, everyone. Get your snacks ready. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Inside Sports, Fantasy Football. Joe and I, we might as well stay on the air at the tail end of the show, Joe, to do Inside Sports Fantasy Football, maybe around 9:30ish or so, if that works for you, my friend, where we'll cover NFL Week 8. We'll talk about what's going on in the world of the NFL and also fantasy football. We'll also make sure that you're covered with all your fantasy football questions at the end of the show today, right here for Inside Sports Fantasy Football, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, our good friends, starting with Joe Soro, aka Oxide47 at LakersBall.com, and of course, Simblades. For the best lawn out there in SoCal, Simblades for the Y.com. Also, as well, of course, John Costa's channels, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, which you're watching us right now on, besides the Lakers Fast Break. Welcome. Make sure you like and subscribe. Help out the big JC. Go ahead, help him out. It is greatly appreciated. Also, as well, of course, Empire Jeff TV, covering the Lakers and the Dodgers. Lakers in 5. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Yo, John McCalian channel. The Lakerholics crew. You know Laker Tom is giddy. He's probably dancing like a schoolgirl right now because his JJ Redick, the guy who he says is the next Pat Riley, was winning his first game. So, yes, he's probably writing all about it at Lakerholics.com. Jamie Sweet was with his 5 Things article right there for you as well at Lakerholics.com. Of course, our good friends, Alfred Esmond. Please support him. Legend also as well. Hopefully get him on another conversation real soon. All of these great folks, please like and subscribe. And, of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. Make sure you like those videos because it gets into the algorithms. Because YouTube is all about algorithms. And most importantly, thank you so much to all the new members. We are now almost 60 members strong. I don't even have space. I'm going to have to create more of these crawlers to thank each and every one of my brand new members that came on last night. Shout out to Intel for making it happen. Where's Nina? Guillermo, Jupao, my sister Yvette, Carl for President, Brahim, XG, Jebby, Alicia, Mike, Eli, Ty, Juan, Alejandro, Samir, Chris, Reg, Abdi Malik, RC, Money, Awesome, Hernan, 1IV, Play IWA, Riley, Black, Reggae, Trill, The Autism Boy, L Baby, Omaris, Big Baby Sports, Jeremy Sheed, Tommy, NBA, Kenny, JSJ, Kurt Affair, Kev, Bloodhound, Tough, Richard, Daniel, Doobie, Raphael, Search, Nija, Narukami, Too Tall, The Legend, Weston, Moonlit, Remy, Retro, 7 Grand, I'm almost finished, Intel Wild, of course, Darren, Sports Baby, and Xbox. Those are all of our members. You get a shout out for just $2.99 a month. You get shout outs from me. You get mentioned down below. You get emojis, badges. You get special inside stuff that only members get first and foremost. Articles, updates on when we're going live first and foremost. All that comes to you. Whew, that's a lot to breathe in there for you. Just $2.99 a month, indeed. Well, the Lakers coming off the glory last night of the LeBron James family reunion out there at center court with Bronny and LeBron, hallmark moment. But Anthony Davis says I went ahead and I'm stepping on that moment and I'm making my own deal. I'm making my own moment with a huge game, 36 points last night, 16 rebounds, absolutely a dominant performance, especially in that second half as the Lakers did get the victory last night against Minnesota. Their next game is against a team that's playing in the toilet bowl right now, the Phoenix Suns. So we'll talk about, can they take this momentum from the success of what they did last night? Can they take the good things and keep on continuing? We'll talk about that on the show today. We've got an outstanding guest that's going to talk about this. She is on the YouTube. herself with a great channel that talks the Lakers, has pop culture stuff, video game streams, and more. Three Body Problem. There you go. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's still one of my 10 best of this year. It is Call Me Nakomi. Truly glad to have you here.
How you doing? How you doing, Gerald? What's going on? How you
Doing
doing?
great. I'm doing awesome. I mean, you got the LeBron shirt going. Everything's going well. There you go, Davis. There
It's
you go. LeBron Davis. Yep. Making, yep. There you go. Making
make
LA great again. Yep. There you go. Let's hope they do indeed for 2024.
yes.
Your thoughts on last night's victory? How exciting was it for you? We'll get into the Bronny LeBron stuff here in a bit, but the most important thing is that the Lakers got the win
hmm
and started the season off for the first time in a long time, like Joe said, since 2017. They started off the season on a good note.
I thought it was great. I watched the game from the beginning to the end. I felt like we had our usual consistent starters. I was very happy to see that. Of course, that it was our most successful lineup for the past 2 years, pretty much since we went to the West Coast, to the Western Finals the year before last, and going into the playoffs last year. Unfortunately, it took a long time before we could actually get that lineup in consistently last year. Coming back in this year, they seem like they know each other and they know each other's tendencies. And with the extra juice that Rui is showing, and also AD, this I feel like it's almost that reverse psychology that coaches do. It's almost like JJ knew he was going to have that job, and so he left AD off of his Defensive Player of the Year rankings, just to kind of telegraph, the 110% that it looks like he was prepared to give, and it almost looked like even though he got 36 points, he looked like he did leave something on the court, and it looked like he knew that he left something on the court. I was very excited to see how once we got it going, everybody seems a little timid with Bambi legs right in the beginning, but once we got it clicking into the end through the first quarter and into the second, I was just like, this team really has something. I could actually see the offensive schemes. It was definitely very different from last year, and so I'm very optimistic about where we could possibly go with the new leadership at the coaching position.
Once again, it is Call Me Nakomi. Make sure you check out her awesome YouTube page, her awesome YouTube channel. Absolutely. Please support her with a like and subscribe. I will be doing so while we're on the air. I always like to do that with her guests. I like to go ahead and subscribe while I'm on the air.
Appreciate
Joe
it.
is here as well, the man behind Oxide247 at LakersBall.com and Simblades with a Y.com. It is Joe Soro. Joe, you've had about 24 hours to marinade in the glow of JJ's first victory. You and I said very glowing things about JJ's first coaching victory. We were very impressed with what he laid out. Did not show a lot of his defensive cards in the preseason, so I was very happy with that because, quite frankly, it looked really bad the preseason. But hey, maybe it was effort that they didn't want to go ahead and do. But we saw a concerted effort on Tuesday. Your thoughts, now that you've had some time to think about it, on can they take this win and start some early momentum?
Yes, I believe they could. They have a favorable schedule here, the first four games. They play at home against Phoenix on Friday. Then they play a back-to-back on Saturday. Of course, schedules just have been a crappy luck here with the Dodgers playing. So I got a split screen again, likely on Friday and Saturday. I don't mind it in most cases, but it's the World Series. It was difficult. And we had a game where I was watching the Steelers, Lakers, and Dodgers all at the same time. That's never happened. That was a few Sundays ago. And that was the worst sports day I ever had. To set up a prelude to the show tonight for football. That was the worst sports night I think I've had. That all three of the teams lost, and I lost both of my games in fantasy football. But as far as the Lakers bouncing off what they did yesterday, I was going back and forth on whether it was a combination of just good execution and also poor play by Minnesota. Minnesota, for those of you who don't know, had a pretty major trade here about 3 weeks ago, and it didn't look like they were prepared a little bit. So I'm trying to put things in perspective. The other part of me says I've never been really impressed with Minnesota, anyways. If not for some weird cosmic weirdness from the playoffs where Denver blew a huge lead at home in the fourth quarter. It'd be much worse for Minnesota, but they kind of made their mark a little bit off that game, and then they got beat by Dallas. And then, of course, because they're young, there's hope that there's going to be some progression there. But I am not a fan of Anthony Edwards, the focused part. His athleticism and his gameplay is obviously pretty good. You all know I don't just throw the word great around. I think we throw great around way too much. Great is supposed to be for LeBron and Steph Curry and Jordan and Kobe. So you all know that. I'm not. I don't call everybody great. So and is not great. Very good though. And what's going to make him great is focus. At this point, there seems to be a lack of focus on what he needs to do. You can't talk the smack that he talks without backing it up. That's the whole point of being able to have a legendary career like a Larry Bird or a Michael Jordan. They kind of solidified their trash talk. The Lakers. I'm gonna gauge a few things here this weekend. Phoenix and Sacramento are teams that they're like the nuisance teams. So it's a good start to see who they really are with these two teams. Minnesota, I had a really good feeling they were going to win game one when I found out Minnesota was going to be on their schedule first. I don't know, it hits me. There's certain teams that the Lakers would play opening night where I'm like, they got to really play Denver. They really got to play the Clippers. It's just those teams are just they play out of their minds when they play the Lakers. And I wasn't worried about Minnesota. I actually thought even before the Cat trade, when the schedule came out, I said, oh, okay. They kind of gave us a little bit of a chance here. They could probably win that game. And they did. What I was surprised, honestly, the biggest surprise for me was there was a play, and I had a chance to look at it today. There was a play where, and I kind of had brought it up a little bit on the post game, but I wanted to elaborate a little bit more. There was a play where Austin Reeves got the ball at the left elbow, and he picked up his dribble. And that's not kind of Austin Reeves like. He's smarter than that. But what it looked like was kind of a ploy. It was a trick where players committed on the T-Wolf side so much. As soon as he turned to the right, because it was on the top elbow, as soon as he kind of pivoted left and then started going right, Naz Reid started to commit to his side. LeBron was on the left end. He dove to the basket, and it was like, oh man. And I remember looking at that play going, dude, I didn't think at the time that I didn't see the whole play until later, like how it developed. I was focused more on just the overall kind of game. But when I went back and saw that clip, I was like, oh man, that was a setup. So then I started thinking, okay, we know that they're going to adjust to that. Everyone's going to adjust to that. And what are they going to do to adjust to that? And then I started going through some things, and I'll go through it over the show here. I don't want to talk, for the next 10 minutes. I know we have guests here, but I'm going to get into a little bit more of the shift from that play and how it's going to be when the opposing team does not commit to the trick and how they can still get something there, because basketball is always about adjustments, right? And adjustments, to put a button on this particular discussion, is something that Darvin Ham couldn't do to save his damn life. and especially after halftime, especially after a bad sequence of runs by the opposing team. Two things that I loved about this game was the fact that, holy crap, we had some plays coming out of a timeout that actually were. I felt like I was watching Mike D'Antoni coaching all of a sudden. Mike D'Antoni, I know he has his faults. I know his attitude rubbed people the wrong way, but the guy was an X's and O's genius. He really was. And if it's not for Robert Ory, and you can say that about how many teams during his career, if not for Robert Ory elbowing Steve Nash into the scores table, I think Mike D'Antoni wins a championship that year. So again, props to JJ for at least showing us after one game that he actually knows a little bit of what he's doing. How this plays out, you got to wait a little bit longer, folks. Sorry, I'm not gonna give Laker Tom his flowers yet, Mr. Pat Riley, number 2. That's
Well, as he always says, it's just one game. So yes, no flowers will be given to him yet.
Well, I'm a dude. I don't give other dudes flowers. That's more of a, that's a figure of speech. You know what I mean?
Yes, figure of speech. Yes, yes, I think we got it. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is, of course, Call Me Nakomi, Joe Soro, and myself, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. Nakomi, I want to ask you this. When it comes to what you saw last night with the Lakers, let's go over some of the things that you really liked about what JJ did, how it was implemented, and how the players executed the vision that JJ installed for last night.
One of the things that definitely is always a thorn in my craw every single year is rebounds. I feel like coming out of even the preseason and from training camp, he said that he was going to emphasize rebounds, and I feel like the second chance points that we got during that game, that kind of energy, that kind of focus to do that. Rui and Austin were flying in from nowhere to basically grab balls and get us extra possessions. That is definitely one thing that that JJ has at least changed. Besides the offensive, the ability to draw up an offense and teach his team to actually execute, and also try to reinforce that they stick with the plan, call them out even on air, not just basically in the gym, but also letting people know that that's what he wants for them to do, and so he expects for them to do that. And I felt that even when they kind of swayed away from it and started to go back LeBron AD iso ball, it's like the next possession they got back into passing the ball and going back into that offense to start the flow again. People diving into the lanes, to move people out, allowing that gravity to kind of open up spaces for AD and Braun to create. Rui is being more aggressive. It's almost my brother's a coach, and we talk all the time. And I always say that I'm from being a player back, when I was younger, and getting into a little bit of coaching myself. I always thought to myself, I need a coach to tell me what they want me to do, instead of letting me freestyle. When you do that, you basically allow the players to understand that this is my box, and I can get out of that box if I get the green light from the coach. But at the same time, these are the expectations, and I felt like that JJ gave expectations to the team, and also with expectations and structure, and with that, provide some energy, because they had been lacking that. And I feel like that kind of new, fresh take on it with young players. It's not old players. It's not a team full of veterans. I feel like it's a really good mix. And I feel like I like that they're also focusing on going to AD late in the game. Too many games that I see last year where AD actually was really going in the first 3 quarters, and then he would get maybe 1 or 2, passes inbounds, and it would usually just end up with a frustration heave where he maybe gets fouled or there's no call, and then he's frustrated, and him and Braun are yelling at the referees while they're going back down there for a showtime dunk. I mean, it feels like there's more accountability, more focus on getting the ball, not having to rely on Braun. I like those are things that that jumped out to me while I was watching the game yesterday, and it has me really looking forward to, like Joe said. And I'm sorry, Joe, I didn't say hi to you before in the beginning of the
That's
live
okay. That's
thing.
okay, Nakomi. I don't
Yeah,
like to
you
say
don't have to worry
how to
about that, Nakomi.
I like to be
I'm
I like to
really
be
have
polite.
feelings
I like
for
to be
stuff,
polite.
so you'll be fine. You'll get used to
No,
me.
no problem. But at the same time, like you said, there's lots of things that we need to see more games, and also Minnesota had their failings, and that also helped us. But with that being said, those are situations where we used to lose last year, where we would get out to a huge lead and that team would wake up and someone would put some smelling salts underneath their nose, and they're up and they're ready to get back into the fight. And next thing you know, we let it all go. We actually held on to the lead. I mean, they got close. They're a good team. They're supposed to. Julius Randle isn't a slouch, so we expect for him to actually provide something. But like Joe said, they have time that they have growing pains that they have to go through, just like New York has some growing pains that they have to go through. And we obviously have some growing pains to go through with the new system and everything to get accustomed to. But with that being said, I feel like we had the mindset to overcome the adversity of the situation, of all the situations of the night.
that will not be tolerated in our chat, and we're just going to get rid of that right now.
What the hell happened?
Take care of that. Just going to go ahead and just put that out there. Search. Thank you, Search. Truly appreciate it.
What the hell happened? I didn't look. I was doing research.
Someone just being an idiot, as always. There's like always trolls. We get our share of trolls here. It's just, again,
it
they
comes
come out of the
with territory.
Yeah, it does.
It comes with the territory.
But as far as Joe and feelings, he's allergic to them, so you never have to worry about that. So
I'll keep that in mind.
Darren in the super chat, and thank you so much for the super chat. No refraining from anything per the sensei, Mr. Soro. So there you go. No refraining. No refraining. So yes, Refrain and Joe are far apart as well. But once again, it is the Lakers fast break. Joe. So with that said, the Bronny LeBron thing, they got out of the way quickly. Got it done. Second quarter, like everybody was saying, let's just get it done. The Griffies were there. You knew they were going to get it done. The hallmark moment is done. We can now go ahead and focus on the season. Are you convinced that they will do just that, or that will Bronny still be around, still be hovering, still be on the bench, people be still clamoring for time? The temptation for Jay to still put him out there. He needs to go to the G League and develop. He is not an NBA player, and I don't know how even close that even remotely is. You and I said he is not even close to being an NBA player as of yet. But as long as he has that guaranteed contract, it is still concerning to me that there's a possibility he'll be called upon at some point in time this season. I hope to God not.
We've seen a lot of guaranteed contracts in our time, and unfortunately, we've seen those contracts turn into overpayments. The Lakers are talent deficient, and we've known this since the draft. There's no possible way you'll have any credibility with him on the daily roster. You guaranteed him a contract, which means you're probably going to give him a chance to develop. That's fine. But he has no business being on an active roster in any way. We're already in a position right now where one of the really bad signings of this summer after one game is showing exactly what he's done the last 2 years. We have to wait a little longer too, still, but we all know that basketball is not very hard to figure out. Basketball is the easiest talent evaluation in sports. There are some that come through the muck. There are some that kind of fight through it. I'll use an example a little bit. A lot of times location can be a blessing for certain players, but at the same time, you also got to look at the position of that team as well. Let's use Scottie Pippen Jr. as an example. Scottie Pippen Jr. was playing with the Lakers for a few years. You'll remember us talking about Scottie. There wasn't anything really too negative about Scottie Pippen Jr. I mean, it's very hard. It's extremely hard to see an offspring try to compare to the father. I mean, Scottie Pippen is one of the, when you build a basketball player, just in terms of physical, Scottie Pippen's probably with the mold. I mean, 6'8", arms from here to the next town, athleticism. I don't think people really get how freakishly athletic he was, because you had Michael Jordan, who was the Bo Jackson of the NBA, right? And you can't expect it. You can't expect Scottie Pippen Jr. to live up to that, even though there have been offsprings that have. I mean, look at Marvin Harrison Jr. He's got the potential of being better than his pops, which is just, that's not, it's hard to fathom. I mean, I watched his pops play. He was a freak. But you could see that there was something there. It just probably wasn't enough to be a good rotation player on a team that's competing. But he went to Memphis, and Memphis has had a little bit of issues the last few years because of the John Morant situation. And he's got a lot of playing time, and there's not a lot of pressure in Memphis as there is in LA. So that developed into something. However, I believe that Scottie Pippen Jr. actually had NBA potential skill. I do not believe that LeBron James Jr. does, from what I've seen. And as of right now, it would be very, very smart of the Lakers to not have him come up at all for the entire year. Let's just let him go train in the G League. And as far as how you bounce from that to the day-to-day, one thing that the Lakers have going for them is the talent that they do have is extremely young. And if JJ Redick is going to, apparently after one game, get these guys moving and rebounding and playing defense and getting out on the break, yeah, if there's a time to do that, folks, it's when they're 25, 26, 28. AD's like the only young old guy on this team. And I'm sorry, folks, what are you getting paid to do? You're getting paid to play basketball. And I've heard every player the last 30 years watching the game, hey, man, Stu always says it. Stu Lantz always says it. This is a young man's game. If you're sitting at 26, 27, that's your prime. That's a prime of a basketball player. So I'm fully expecting those guys 24, 25, 26, 28 to be 82 games a year rolling. And if they can do that, then I'm going to have to eat crow. Now, on Lakers ball, which is where I reside for my social, I should say my Laker forum conversations with my people over there, you can't literally, I'm not going to literally eat a crow. I tend to take things seriously, and I say, okay, you want me to eat something that would taste like trash? I hate black olives. You might as well be feeding me cockroaches. So I made a deal with the boys over there and the girls. I said, all right, guys, you guys got to pick a time in December probably, or maybe beginning of the year. If this team is sitting at 20-10 after 30 games, I'll eat crow, a.k.a. black olives. I'll do it on the show. You guys everybody can watch. I'll eat the whole damn thing. And I apparently one of the guys said, I got to drink the juice too. I mean, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm talking about the second I see olives on a pizza, black olives on a pizza, I've tried to take it out. The second I take a bite, something's in there, and I'm like, oh, this.
Well, you've done the wing challenge on the air. You've done the spicy chip challenge, that one chip challenge on the air. Should be a piece of cake. Walk in the park.
Those tasted good, at least.
Okay.
This is going to taste like pure ass.
Okay.
So we'll see. I got to figure out what's considered eating crow. I'm not going to, hey, guys, I ain't eating crow if they're 20 and 18.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
guys, you got to make sure.
There's no crow to eat there.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
You have to make sure it's defined specifically, Joe,
Yeah, you
or
gotta be
somebody
specific.
will find a loophole
Yeah.
and try
The
to call you out on
sangria, the sangria green olives. Anytime there's a sangria, I don't drink sangrias unless I'm at a place where they're serving it. For some reason, those green olives are not bitter to me or
So
too
green olives you
vinegar.
like, black olives you don't.
Black olives are death.
Okay.
I as soon as I eat it, I'm like, I can't eat for like hours. It's just in there. I don't know
Okay,
why.
now I
It's
know what to
weird.
feed him. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Next time I see
So
him.
if you're torturing me, feed me black olives.
Okay, fair enough.
Water all of me.
Now, Nakomi, it is a heartwarming story, especially, you know, and we don't, when we talk about Bronny, we don't talk in terms of the individual himself. He is coming back from what could have been a very devastating, life-threatening heart ailment that he suffered a little over 1 year ago. And again, this is a no difference to him as an individual, but we're Lakers fans. We see Boston pull one championship ahead of us, and it makes us ill. Talk about the black olives. That's what makes me ill, is Boston now being one championship ahead of us. So you want to make sure you field the best possible team that's out there. And in doing so, you know, placating, catering to LeBron, whatever you want to call it, by bringing LeBron in, you also have all these other dead spots on your roster with players probably not going to be able to give you a major contribution to back into the roster. So with that said, last night, I'm glad they got it done with, but if Bronny will ever become an NBA player, he needs to go ahead and be put in a place where he can develop and to see if he could actually get to that point. So the thing I want to ask you is, what were your thoughts on last night, and what are your thoughts on what Bronny James will be doing going forward? To me, again, financially, it's a huge windfall for the Lakers because there is no second rounder that will ever make the kind or generate the kind of money for a team like Bronny James. You saw people wearing the Bronny James jerseys already. They've already made the $1.1 million of his salary already back tenfold with jersey sales and merchandise sales.
You
But
pulling reasons out your butt there,
hold
Gerald?
it.
Justify this?
Shut up, Joe. Let me finish before you go ahead with it. But as a player standpoint, it's a terrible move, and it sends a terrible message that winning may not be the ultimate prize for the Lakers.
Yeah, it definitely sets a very dangerous, possibly dangerous precedent.
Money
By
or winning? Money or winning?
on some levels, I kind of think of it. It should be winning.
Should be winning.
But they kind of equate. I feel like lots of different things have muddied the waters. Money in some way or shape or fashion is winning to owners also. So definitely selling out Bronny jerseys and all that stuff, and bringing all of his followers to the Laker Nation, all has some type of monetary value. So that's all kind of a windfall for them also. Besides what is that? Somewhere around $7 million investment they made into him. I mean, maybe they made all that back already. Who knows? I kind of felt like it was almost a kind of a under the table way of paying Bron, more money without having to worry about the cap a little bit. It was shocking to see that it was that much money.
It's a 4-year, $8 million deal, I think, overall, but it starts off with 1-1 for this year.
Yeah.
And then it's the option for the 4th year, just to let you know on that. But if it does go throughout its 4 years, it is $8 million in player salary.
And like I said, the eyes that he will bring, not to invoke anything inflammatory, but like Caitlin Clark, the eyes that she brought is almost worth the trouble. You know what I mean? Kind of on some levels. With that being said, I almost wanted to throw my remote control at the TV when I saw that they were going to do that when we were up by 19 points against a really good team, when we had everything clicking. Ron wasn't even on the floor, and it was purring like a kitten out there. And then it was like a fog. I don't want to say a fog, I don't want to give that kind of negative, I don't want to apply that kind of negative, energy towards that moment, but it changed. It almost seemed as though it was not about winning. And it was interesting because I noticed at that exact time, right before that happened, Anthony Edwards was starting to circle the horses, kind of starting to like, you know, get his guys back into it, saying, "Hey, we can't go out like this," kind of thing. And then out of nowhere, boom, they do that substitution, and I just felt like, oh, this can very much be a bad thing, because I had no expectations. I have more expectations for Max Lewis coming off the bench than I do for Bronny. And that's nothing to say about Bronny. It's just the fact that Max Lewis has more experience playing against adults. Bronny definitely needs to grow. He needs to grow into his adult body. He needs to. I mean, look at Shaquille O'Neal's son, who had that hard situation happen. He lost several years of his college career when he's actually starting to develop and get into that body that should carry him into his prime. Those kind of setbacks, just like how Bronny had, he missed. I mean, the little bit of time that he spent in USC's, playing for USC is not, it's I don't think that he's ready to play in an NBA. I feel like this season is too important for the window that the Lakers currently have, with Bron playing his, I believe, one of two last seasons in the league. AD is healthy and is in the pretty much towards the back end of his prime, I guess you could say. And I feel like we have great continuity. We have a good coach, and I'll take it as a pull the Band-Aid off situation, get it out the system. The fans have seen it. They've taken all the pictures, the photo ops, and all that good stuff. And now what should happen is Bronny should go to the G League and develop his game and his his confidence. He's been there before. He'll have chances to come back and maybe play during blowouts or whatever like that, but he definitely shouldn't be anywhere near the 9 to 10 man rotation. That's my opinion. But I will also, even though that might have been a good business decision to pay. I mean, he was coming to the Lakers regardless. So, I mean, what amount of it was, I guess, a negotiation as far as how much money he'd be compensated for the attention that he brought to the Lakers, rather than, whether or not he was going to get paid or paid chump change by the Lakers. But it does make me a little uneasy with the fact that we have Santa Claus Pelinka there. Thank goodness he didn't give him a player option at the end of his contract, because it seems like Pelinka loves to hand those out like candy on Halloween. We're in this position that we're in right now because of the player options that he added to Cam, Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood. We're kind of stuck in the position that we're at, and right now is not a good time to be unwise with our money going forward. So there's a lot of different nuances to that conversation. It happened. It was a great moment for their family and for the NBA to see a great actually last in the league long enough that his young son was able to play with him. Yeah, that was great. No problem. I might be rubbing some people the wrong way with how I feel about it, but with a lot of different things, basketball has been here before and will be here after this generation of players are here. So I'm a Laker fan above all things, and I just don't want it to basically get in the way of the potential that we have for the season.
No, very well said. And if someone doesn't like it out there, you know what? Oh, well, because we're here to win championships. That's what this fan base wants. You can't have it both ways, Joe. You either want the championships, you're complaining about Rob all year long. You're complaining about Jeannie. You're complaining about the roster. You're complaining about this. You want it to all be fixed and you all be magically available for the Lakers to win a championship. But you can't in the same breath say, oh, you know what? Bronny should be this. Bronny should do that. He should be playing. He should be on the team. He should be on the roster. He should be drafted, all this stuff. And you can't have it both ways, Joe, because you either have one or the other? Do you want the novelty or do you want championships? Do you want to win or do you want hallmark feelings, as you've said before, Joe?
Do you want to go viral?
Yes.
If you're the LA Lakers and you need to gimmick your operation, then you've totally lost exactly what the Lakers are. There's the angst towards Jeannie and Rob, Jeannie especially, because she's the one in charge. It's not just Laker operation. It's not just some guy's son. It's everything the last year. The Jerry West situation becoming more and more apparent on what's going on. The fact that the fucking Celtics won the championship and you answer that by going into this draft, luckily having Connect drop to you, thank God. And then all the talk is about some guy who doesn't belong in the NBA. And those are the things that it's just, I've gone into detail here a little bit. I'm going to go into it a little bit again for those who are new to this show. This is about winning. I don't have any literal skin in the game, right? I'm an observer. I'm a fan. I'm a watcher. But my competitive juice is played through the Lakers and my teams. And in the moment, I'm in it. When the game is over, I'm back to my regular life. I don't go sit and sulk in a corner. Yeah, I might, if you lose a championship, I'm kind of bummed for a while. But when I'm in it, I'm in it. I'm a fan. I don't have control over it. Not everything in life has to mean something. Sometimes it's okay to have something that's not in your control and you enjoy it. Not everything. I have friends of mine who are and these are friends of mine. I love them to death, but they're schleps. Everything's about something needs to pay off for them. I'm like, well, what do you get out of this, Joe? They don't care about it. It has nothing to do with them. I go, it's about the competitiveness. I like having something that means something that I don't control. It's the competitive part. I can't do it, but I'm living through these guys. And it gives you a euphoria every now and then. I've seen 6 NBA championships. I've seen 2 Super Bowl wins. I've seen 2 World Series wins, hopefully a third coming. This stuff is fun. You go collect coins or whatever the hell your wife allows you to do, and you're happy, apparently. Don't look like it. I do this. Now, I just got lucky. I'm doing a podcast where I can talk about it now, so it makes it even easier. But the Lakers started yesterday in a way I didn't expect. It wasn't the fact that they won. I actually thought they could win this game regardless of what's going on. But how they won was a surprise. I was surprised because I was so used to them being lazy. They just looked lazy the last few years. And they weren't lazy yesterday. And I've been trying to figure out why. I mean, did you really need someone like JJ who gets up in your face? Something that's kind of not really there? Maybe Tom Thibodeau a little bit, but everything we talk about that my little runt cousins will say, oh, he's a boomer. You're a boomer. You're a boomer. No, man. When it comes to fundamentals, great ones want to be coached. Now, LeBron is an anomaly in that. He's a great one, an all-time great one. Yet he's had 11 coaches in 22 seasons. That's not good when you put the things that matter together. How do you play with 11 coaches in 22 seasons? LeBron has had choices in everywhere he went. He's had the choice. He's created this choice. He's never asked to be traded. He's gone where he's wanted to go. And yet there's still this gap somewhere with leadership on the team where he's not been comfortable. Why? After a while, you start to wonder, well, if there's 11 coaches in 22 seasons, what are you doing there, LeBron? You can't just blame it on the coach on that one. And when you don't have when the general is not, if you don't allow the general, which is the coach, no matter who you are as a player, if you don't let that general be MacArthur or Patton or the great generals in our time, how are you going to continue to win? And right now, we're going to find out if JJ Riddick's going to be allowed to be that great general. Because I want to see what happens to this team when they're tired and on a 3-4 game road trip in February. And JJ Riddick might be getting under their nerves, might be saying things that they don't want to hear at that point. Maybe they were out the night before and he's like, what the hell are you doing? Jerking off, blah, 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 and all that. I want to see how they react to that. I definitely want to see how LeBron reacts. I would love to see JJ Riddick get all up in LeBron's business if he does one of those thought he got fouled and lets his team die on a 4 or 5 break. I'm kind of curious to see if that's going to happen and how he reacts to it. Is LeBron going to go on Twitter and put some kind of unicorn on there, some subverged message? That's kind of what I'm looking for down the road, because it's those moments that are going to dictate what really ends up happening at the end of the year. The end of the year, unfortunately, with the talent right now, unless they can play like this with any competition, they still need a couple players. And I don't know how they're going to be able to do it because they don't have any assets. But there's a lot of variables in there. Health, how things just kind of come about depending on who they play. We'll be here. I'm willing to eat the black olives if I'm wrong, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. I always hope I'm wrong because I want the Lakers to win above all that. I don't care about being wrong. Win, and I'll be happy to eat it.
So with that, Nakomi, we bring it back to you. And once again, it's CallMeNakomi from CallMeNakomi World on YouTube. Please like her videos, subscribe to her channel, do whatever you can to support her out. She is a fast-growing Lakers channel, along with some pop culture mixed in. Saw some game streaming as well. All the kind of fun stuff you can catch today at just CallMeNakomi World right there for you.
Yes,
Call
please.
Me Yes, absolutely excellent channel. Call Me Nakomi, and for you, Nakomi, I saw a special emphasis on the Lakers. So with that, they get the win. We head over to watch Phoenix, who are playing in the toilet bowl right now. They don't have any type of travel really, so they'll be pretty much rested come Friday. So you get a fresh Phoenix team against a fresh Lakers team. What are you expecting then on the first game of a back-to-back with Sacramento looming large right after?
I expect I started, but I didn't finish filling out my expectation my records projections for the season. I honestly I believe that we're going to beat Phoenix, but I feel like Sacramento is going to catch us. They match up year by year. They match up very well with us. Maybe we might be able to put up a better fight with some new schemes, not being just iso ball with LeBron or AD and D'Lo throwing up a last second shot, or AR trying to draw fouls. I feel like we have a better scheme going into it. So I feel like we should come out of the next 2 games being 2-1 afterwards. But I feel like we'll be able to, because we already played Phoenix in the preseason. I feel like we should be able to and beat them. I feel like with them actually playing a good amount of their starters, into late periods into the game. I feel like we'd be able to match up pretty well with Phoenix, and we might be able to pull it out. I don't think that they're too much of a match for AD in the middle out there in Phoenix. It's just going to take extra effort on the defensive end to guard their 3 stars. Max Christie is going to be really good. I think that he's going to be. I think that he got some of the assignments on KD and I think I saw AR guarding Beal. I can't remember who exactly was on KD or Brooks, or which one they're going to have, who's going to have the assignment. But I think that we should be able to be able to hold them to at least, maybe 110, and maybe this go around will be a little bit more efficient and be able to get 120 out of us. So we should be able to beat Phoenix, but I feel like Sacramento's going to be more of a toss up, and I'll give them the edge since they beat us handedly. I think they pretty much swept us last year in all of our head-to-head matchups. One other thing real quick, just to bounce off of what Joe said earlier regarding JJ about later on in the season when it starts to become those dog days of the season, the 82 grind. I wondered to myself, because I'm just like, you know what? I don't think that JJ is a player coach. And I think that that's actually what we've been needing. I think that the coaches that we've had in the past, couple coaches have been trying to be friends. But I feel like we have the technical along with a little bit of a tyrant. I just hope that JJ doesn't become too much of a tyrant and, lose the locker room. But I think that with the goodwill going into the season, I feel like we should be able to get through the storm of when, another thing though, too, with JJ to be aware of too. He's from the media. He's going to know how to use that post game, interview to send subliminal messages to his team. So it's going to be It's going to be a very interesting chess match with JJ and the team and the front office and the rest of the league. It's going to be must-see TV.
Yes, hopefully in a good way, as opposed to must-see TV with Darvin Ham in a bad way with all the comments that he made during the course of last season. Joe, before we head out, or actually before we turn it over later on to our Inside Sports Fantasy Football, we'll talk about that. Joe, again, back-to-back coming up this weekend. Very interesting to see how they're going to lay it all out. It wouldn't be unreasonable to think that a split would be in order, but Phoenix, who right now, let me go ahead and see, they're behind to the Clippers in the Intuit Dome by 3 in the third quarter. So they're matching up well, evenly. We'll see if they go 0 for LA, but in order to do so, you've got Sacramento looming on a road game right after. So yeah, right off the get-go, Joe, it looks like the NBA wants to go ahead and hit the Lakers hard. 2 good teams to face to start the season, then a back-to-back to follow it up with.
If you're going to face good talent, better to play now when you're fresh. And then they go on that Midwest road trip against okay talent. Toronto's Cleveland's good. Detroit, Memphis could be good this year if everybody has their head straight. I'm caught between what I want done in a particular time. I'm still not sure if I'm going to be happy after a week or happy after 2 months. I'm thinking December. But at the same time, this team doesn't really have time. It's just the predicament they're in. They've started slow the last couple of years only to deal with the headaches. And then as soon as the All-Star break hits, they really don't get much help from trades or whatever. And then they go on a run where they'll win 15 of 18. I'm sorry, they'll go 15-8 or something. And then it's resulted in one playoff win. I don't know. I'm sorry, not one playoff win. The playoff win. The last 2 series, they've won one playoff game. And I knew something was wrong. When I started hearing 2 years ago, hey, Lakers made it to the Western Conference Finals. And I kept hearing that summer. Like, what? What's going on here? We're celebrating a Western Conference Final appearance? And LeBron James and AD are on your team? If this was the 1995 Lakers or the 93 Lakers with Nicky V, and Terry Teagle, and Sedell 3, Vlade, and Eldon, and that fun Lake Show team, I'd be like, yeah, man. Didn't think they'd go that far. But You'll tell me that LeBron's the best ever, right? Now, maybe not people in the chat, but I'm talking about the people hovering around ESPN or whatever. And it's convenient to say that when it works, and then when he's not playing up to LeBron standards, well, he's 39. Folks, you can't have both. And I pay attention to what you say. I know most people don't, or even if they do, they're too chicken shit to say anything. But if you're going to come at me and say, well, he's 39, then you got to go with that. You can't all of a sudden watch a game where he drops 40 and 10 assists and go, LeBron MVP. No. No. Sorry. That's not going to work. This is AD and LeBron's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is their 5th season together. They won a championship the first year. Second year would have been a championship. Unfortunately, we got set back with the AD injury. Since then, bad decisions, bad chemistry, bad coaching hires, and it's been going on and on and on. And that is a waste, folks. It is a waste of this particular era of arguably the best talent in AD of this particular era, and of course, the best player of his era, the last 15 years in LeBron James. You can't have both, folks. And I'm not saying you got to win a championship every year, but you can't get swept like you did, and you can't go into the first round and only win one game. This isn't Karl Malone and Stockton and Utah, guys. It's okay over there, not in LA. And yeah, it's not fair. And we've been brutal. I've been brutal at Jeannie. I've been brutal at Jeannie, not just for, if it was just Lakers stuff, I probably wouldn't have been as personal sounding, but Jeannie's done some things off the court that have really pissed me off. Because so many people out there sit on their high horses and live in their glass houses and do all the support shit, right? I'm not going to go into the details on that. You probably all know where I'm going with it. And then I go to downtown LA. Lakers Live used to be clean. Everything around Staples was clean. Now I go over there, there's literal piss everywhere around the parking lot areas. There's graffiti in an entire building next to Staples. Looks like Escape from LA stuff. Isn't this your hood? Isn't this your town? What are you doing? Oh, you're going on TV and going, we're here to support. Oh, I'm going to put a little button here. The fuck is a button going to do? What are you doing around your neighborhood? So you start putting all this together. You start wondering why everything's fucked up. Your neighborhood looks like shit. Your team is run like shit. Your icon hated you. You hated him. You're calling his wife at 11 o'clock at night, telling her, or not even calling her, you text her, telling Laker legend number 1 in a lot of books that he is not welcome anymore. You take out a PPP loan when there are people, small businesses dying left and right, and you want me to be nice because you this little thing with father-son things? Yeah, I know personal stuff starts to get into the sports side. And for me, my approach to this is, yeah, I might not be a known guy, maybe one day, but I'm trying to call out those who are doing things that are suspect. And I know it's not going to be a good thing. I know I'm never going to be able to get into the press box at this point because all those censoring assholes won't allow somebody like me in there because they know I'll say something, right? And people don't like to be told who they are. And that's everyday life, by the way. That's not just them. It's especially the ones that are rich and famous and are getting their ass kissed all the time because all these other people want something from them. See, what happens is when someone like us comes out of the freaking muck and we're like, I don't give a shit how much money you have. I don't care who you are. You suck at your job. I'm not just some fan on the internet doing this like a little troll bitch. I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you information that's going on. I didn't make you do this stuff. Why are you doing this? Now, maybe Jerry West did something behind the scenes that we don't know about. And it's probably justified. And they want to keep it secret, right? I even gave that the benefit of the doubt. But then when you start seeing the other things, because I never saw that stuff with Jerry West, stuff comes out, guys. That stuff comes out. You don't believe me? Look what's going on with P. Diddy. Look what happened to Bill Cosby. Look at this whole island stuff and the Bill Clintons and all that. It comes out, believe me. And I've never heard anything negative about Jerry West from a human being standpoint. Yes, he's hard on people. Yes, he kind of wears you out. You got burnt out from it. But I don't give a shit how much he burned you out. You don't text his wife at 11 o'clock at night telling him he's not welcome. When that motherfucker built everything you have with your pops and with Magic at the beginning, and then Kobe and Shaq. Who do you think got Kobe and Shaq? Who? Jim? Johnny? Jerry motherfucking West got that guy. And he ran that shit in the 80s. And he played and he killed himself when he was playing. These are the things. And I'm reiterating a lot of this for you, Nakomi, because I want you to understand how we roll here.
I'm glad to know where you stand.
I want you to understand here.
I agree.
Yeah.
Jerry West means a lot.
You can talk to my family. Sometimes my family shows up on here. Ralph is one of them. He's my cousin. He's like my nephew because he's my second cousin. My first cousin's son. He's like my nephew.
He admits to it too, which is all the more amazing.
Well, because people know, look, skill recognizes skill, even though you don't. So just understand that.
Shut up, Joe.
The point of the story is we are relentless in this. We are not going to back down because we're worried about somebody criticizing us for being whatever. However, to put a nice little soft button on this, if I'm wrong and these guys bust out 20 and 10, I will not only be happy, I will eat shit and say I was wrong.
And some black olives on top of it.
I'm about to say, and black olives?
Well, I mean, it's a figure of speech, obviously. I'm just saying.
Okay, I hear you.
I want you to all,
yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid of being wrong. I'm basing my assessment and maybe a little intense assessment off of what I've seen. Now, for some, just like when you have an opinion on someone's leadership, hey, maybe somebody's kicking ass for a couple of years at work, right? Then all of a sudden, year 3, they start to just shit the bed. And then year 4, they fall off the rails. Now you're like, wait a minute, this guy was awesome year 1 and 2. And now he sucks.
Supposed to be the genius.
Shit changes. Just you brought up the when people age during presidency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes presidents have a good first 4 years and then they suck the second half. Some have it vice versa. Some suck the entire time. That's life, folks. Sometimes you don't do well all the way through. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can do that. So if you came to me and said, Joe, would you rather be right or the Lakers go 30-0? What do you think my answer is going to be?
30-0.
I want the Lakers to win, and I want LeBron to win every award. I want AD to win every award. And I would want his son to be some Marcus Smart player out of nowhere. Hell yeah. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I want it to work out. We have to.
We have to also understand what we're watching, too. And we have to be fair in assessing. And, of course, the delivery of it all will always depend on the atmosphere, because we were very supportive. I was impressed with how Rob took care of everyone last year, and we were very supportive. If you go back and look at the footage, we were supportive. Now we're like, hey, guys, Rob gave you all your money. He extended AD for the second time. He extended Vando. He was extending LeBron again because LeBron's doing his one. I'm like, dude, this guy's just extending everybody. He's like, all right, motherfuckers, you got your shit. Now go show it to me. Well, guess what happened? He extended some of the wrong people. And
he gave a little bit too much out there. Yeah.
And that, again, you got to take the heat on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll say this definitely, Joe. When the whole what was the guy's name, the coach from UConn, that everybody was assuming he was going to come and be the next coach, the next Phil Jackson, and be our coach for the next 8 years. I can't remember his name.
Dan Hurley.
Dan Hurley, yes. And everybody it was a lot of different voices in the whole entire situation. And the one thing that came into my mind no matter how much it was said that we were going to offer him $100 million, and came in somewhere more so around like 60 million or something like that. And UConn just went above it, like Price is Right, and he decided to stay. And I in my brain, and knowing, and as a Laker fan, we know the history. I'm in my 40s. I became a Laker fan in 95-ish, right before Shaq and Kobe came in. So I kind of know the history that far, and heard of the history before, of course, with Magic and Kareem, and and their fights with the Celtics and everything like that. And also, of course, with all of that, you get the history of Jerry West. And the one thing that always keeps, especially I say it maybe a couple times a week talking to my friends at work. God, what happened with Jerry West and us? Because if only Jerry West was still in the building. That's basically, I keep on saying that, because he got us. He built those teams. He also had a wealth of knowledge that he could give to the new players, or the not so new players, and this also gave you this expectation of winning. That's basically what he wanted to do all those years that he ran against that brick wall. And it was just like, okay, we're going to keep on continuing to win with Jerry. And the big great schism happened. And we all kind of know the story. But at the same time, it just made me feel as though the Lakers, with all the bad decisions, with all the bad coaching hires, with all the bad roster decisions, with the different things, it just feels like there's. I said it in one of my shows. I said that the Lakers are kind of toxic. And as far as the view from the outside, we don't feel like they're toxic. But from the outside, if I was looking in and I was hearing all these things that was happening with the Lakers, I'd be like, yeah, they have a lot going on. Why would you leave your cushy job to come in there, to come in there and deal with the things that Vogel, after winning a championship, couldn't last through, and they're uprooting their whole entire team after winning a championship, and not running it back with that same roster, and the injuries, and the teams rebuilding and catching up to us, because we pretty much we showed you how to play, how to build a great team for this NBA with 3-and-D players, and bigs in the middle, size and 3-and-D. But with all that happening, people are just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm glad that we got JJ in, and he seems like that right kind of lunatic that would say, you know what? I see you say toxic, I see opportunity. And we are experienced basketball fans. Some people call it delusional, and we don't call it. We know when we have nothing but rookies and first round picks in the starting lineup, we're not going to go far. We're realistic fans, but of course you're supposed to be optimistic as fans. You're supposed to be optimistic, but we're realistic also. So we could know when there's a fire in the house. At the same time, we could have the positivity enough to believe that fire will go out, and we'll rebuild, and we'll be back up there again, and surpass the Celtics that only win once every 2 decades. This is my outlook, rant on what's going on, the current state of the Lakers.
No, it's a good assessment, because it is. What's the word I'm looking at here? It's a paradox. You've got the goodness of the history and things they've done even recently, but then you have this. The word toxic seems to be the buzzword these days whenever things aren't happy.
Yeah.
And the reason why they probably didn't bring Jerry West back is because he probably was considered toxic. Toxic
or
is
he considered us toxic.
he wanted to come back. He wanted to come back, and then they said
I
no.
know.
And I didn't. I'm not blaming him for that. They probably said, "Look, Jerry, you were here 45 years, whatever, how many years he was. And we can't. You're too competitive." You know what I mean? He's too competitive for them. They want to go play with their dogs and slap each other's behind and support each other and go have tea. At least that's the impression I'm getting from them. The ones that are true competitors, the ones that we're used to, the ones we grew up with. So you said you were in your 40s. I'm
Yeah.
46. And I was a Laker fan my whole life by association, but I didn't really understand or entrench myself in it until 1991.
Hmm.
So I usually tell people I officially was in it from 1991. I watched a few things in the 90s and 89, but it was never something of really like dedication. 91.
Right.
I've been a Laker dedicated fan since 1991. So that's 33 years now. Going to be 34 soon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've been gifted, and that's probably why it's easy to come back. We've been gifted the greatest games ever, not just basketball, sports. We can't be that unruly and that unforgiving. I criticize Jeannie not as a family member, but as a disappointed fan in how she's conducted herself. Because there's a lot of things outside the game that has kind of shown her personality that it's not good.
Hmm.
It's something that's kind of sleazy. And there was always something there. We just kind of maybe didn't pay attention to it. Dating a coach. Come on, guys. Really? Like,
Questionable.
Well, again, because now, I'm a married man, 16 years happily married, and I have girls. And I'm around a lot of women too. I've had women friends that my wife understood I've had since I was 10, right? I've been around a lot of women.
Mhm.
And not in terms of intimacy, just I have friends that are women.
Right.
So I'm around a little bit of the culture of maybe the feminist side of things. Some of them are a little more into that, and some are kind of more realistic about it. And we've had discussions, and I've said, I go, if you're gonna use that excuse again, how I was telling you about, you can't say, oh, he's 39 when things don't go right, and then when he's dropping 30, oh, now he's the best ever. No. You got to pick one. You can't use that as a convenience. And then when you see someone do something that's not well good for optics, like a owner's daughter dating the head coach, and then all of a sudden when something goes wrong, oh, it's because I'm a woman. Oh, come on, dude. Really? You're really pulling that excuse out now? Things like that. That's the stuff I'm like a rabid dog with rabies. I'll get on it right away because it's
Mhm.
hypocrisy. You cannot defeat hypocrisy. Because there's receipts everywhere. I go, whoa. Hold on a second. What the hell was this? What was this decision about? You're supposed to be this, we're here to help the community. Yet you're siphoning money from, I'm not saying she's doing, I'm just using an example. These guys, we're here to help the community and we're going to come do a charity drive. Then you find out they're siphoning money from the city. I know he's not, allegedly, Brett Favre, all of a sudden now he's got amnesia or Parkinson's or I don't know, whatever it is that people have when they screw up, right? And I'm going, I'm sitting there and I'm going, let me tell you how I would have done this, okay? If I got caught, and you can ask all my friends, when I've done something stupid, you know what I do? I go sit. See that corner over there? I'm just using a corner as an example. I go sit there, and I get a chair, and I go ahead, kill me. I fucked up. It's my fault.
Take responsibility.
Take responsibility. I'm not going to sit in the corner and say, well, folks, I've been stressed and I have Graves' disease. What? Really? Now you just insulted everybody who has Graves' disease. You just insulted people who have Parkinson's. Like really? Now Spacey did something like that too. I won't get into the details on that because now we're going to sway somewhere else. But Spacey gets caught being a what, and all of a sudden, well, it's because, and then everyone's like, wait a minute, what the hell does that have to do with what you did? So human beings, you can always count on human beings usually being human beings, but you also got to be careful because it's not fair for those who don't do that stuff. Can't, even though you see a certain section in the world, elite, rich people, especially, there's some rich people out there that are really good, that are really cool. And it always makes me laugh about the Lakers and the money thing. And I know they're not billionaires, but I know how money works. Okay. You think rich people pay themselves a salary that's like 80 million a year? Folks, when you have something of value that could sell for $10 billion, any bank, any loan person is going to give you anything you want.
Unlimited line of credit.
How do you think the government does what they do? Right? So when I hear, oh, well, we don't have this, and that and the fact that they have a $3 billion TV contract, they're getting paid $200 million a year to show their games on Spectrum. And what is their payroll? Their freaking TV deal alone, no merch, no ticket sales, no concessions, no advertisement. Their TV deal pays for all their salaries. So what are you doing with all the money? I know you ain't paying management. You're paying LeBron, sure, but LeBron brings you that tenfold. AD too. So, yeah, when you kind of put it all together, you become this kind of sociologist. You're starting to figure out, oh, well, what's going on here? What's going on there? And then you become a psychologist then because you start getting a headache on why these decisions are made. You just want to watch basketball, for God's sakes, but I got to hear all this stuff. So
we're invested.
Yeah. But again,
we're so invested into it because it's a story almost kind of like that, the government basically, or why America always has a line of credit. I mean, it's a commodity. The Lakers are, and the story that built it and made it where it is. It's if there was to ever be sold, it would probably be sold for, the only other thing that would be sold for more would be the Yankees or the Cowboys, if as far as sports teams. But I will say, hey, like we said, it's a catch-22. It's two sides to every story. And although I'm sure she has maybe encountered situations where because of her her gender, she has been maybe treated differently. At the same time, I don't believe she does, but I don't know. I live on the East Coast, so I don't get maybe as much coverage on her life as they probably do put into the news and stuff like that. But from my, from my vantage point, I more so focus on what I saw her father do and what I see her doing. And to me, her father was more of the gambler. Her father was the poker player. She is the safe penny slots. Maybe, she doesn't want to lose too much. She's going to put how much she needs to put into it to get it out and hoping that she gets a championship. Her dad went out and got championships. Not that he was going to go broke, but he would push all the chips in if it needed to do so. He was obviously a very savvy businessman, understood risk and reward. And I'm not saying that she's doesn't understand that, but I feel like the pressure of pretty much being in control of her family's entire fortune, I feel like she plays way too safe. And she is not taking the kind of personal, she's been around basketball this long. You can't tell me you can't basically be involved in the day to day and just leave Palinka to his own, faculties. And when are you going to wait to pull that cord on Palinka? And if this next 2 years, I'd like to believe that after these next 2 years, she has to pull the cord on him if we don't get another championship. The experiment has run its course, and you make a move. Her father would have made a move. I'm not trying to compare her to her father, but unfortunately, we have to. Because her father was very, very successful, and we are invested in this entity known as the Lakers, and we want to see them do well. I want to see her do well, but at the same time, kind of like what she needed to do with getting rid of her brother and Mitch Kupchak, because they were definitely also running us into, staring us into that brick wall. I feel like if she decides to become too hands off, put it in cruise control, that she'll basically lose it herself. I don't think that hey, it's not beyond the realm of imagination that she might that they might realize that, okay, maybe we are over our heads, and we're about to start losing a value of the team. If we, it'll always make money, but at the same time, the Yankees have to keep going to have to at least be competitive towards the World Series every few years for it to retain its value. Same thing to me with the Lakers. And if we're not competing for it, that's basically it's at the very least, that narrative alone adds to the value of the team. But when you're moving like you're not trying to win a championship, it definitely calls into question, the leadership, and also, when it is that change might be made. I hope that the Bus family could continue to own this team, but I don't know if a billionaire came along, if Bezos came along and said, "Hey, you know what I want? I want the Lakers. Here's a check. You fill in the amount." Would the Bus family say, "You know what? This has been fun. It was Dad's thing."
I truly believe if they were inquiring or if they were thinking of selling the team, I would not be shocked if the Guggenheims aren't the first in line.
The Guggenheims.
If the Guggenheims come in, because they can talk to AEG about buying the entire lot there of the stadium, because the Bus family doesn't own the stadium, which is why they're not the number one on Forbes list as most valued NBA team. The Knicks are. If they owned Staples, they would be number one.
And Golden State with the Chase Center.
Correct. So there is I don't think Jeannie will ever sell the team. It would have to be the next generation. So we're with Jeannie for another 20 years, at the very 20, 30 years, however long she's operating. She's what is she? 55?
No, she's in her 60s.
60s.
She's in her 60s. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say she decides to retire in 10 years.
Jesse Buss takes over.
Is Jesse Buss going to be the guy that run things?
From scout to owner to governor.
I
wouldn't be surprised.
I've seen a non-speaking English, long last name, barely speak English superstar that was a world champion athlete, worldly actor, and also governor of California. Anything's possible in America. When my dad, God rest his soul, he said one thing about America, and it never left my brain. My dad wasn't a preachy guy. He would say things, and it just would stick sometimes. He goes, in America, there's a chance here. And he knew. He came from a different country. So he said, in this place, you have a chance. You have a chance to do something. That's the pursuit of happiness is written. It's written on that paper, man. You have the freedom to pursue your dream. And whether that's a dream that the next generation of the Buses, which isn't, I don't know if that's technically correct, because they're siblings, right? And I know they're younger, but I just don't see somebody like Jesse and what's the other name? The other kid's name? The one that was born in the 80s. It's Jesse and who?
Johnny.
Johnny's the older brother, isn't it?
Oh, okay. That was the
Yeah. So, anyways,
one was the older brother, but then there was
coming from a Dodger fan, and I had the pleasure of rooting for the Dodgers right at that time of my
it's Joey and Jesse.
Joey. That's it.
Joey.
The guy's got my name and I forgot his name. The '88 World Series was the birth of my sports fandom. I was invested at 10 years old in that team, that run that they had. I remember it still to this day. Even though my dad's been gone, I still can hear my dad's scream when Gibson hit that home run. It is the loudest I've ever heard my dad scream. It was a beautiful moment. And I lived in Central California during that time, and there were A's fans and Giants fans everywhere. There was maybe 5 Dodger fans, maybe 2 that I only knew. And man, I was getting destroyed, because at that time the A's were they were going to start a dynasty. They should have won 3 straight. And then of course the Mets won in '86, should have won in '87 and '88 too. It should have been 2 dynasties winning 3 in a row. And it was right smack in the middle. The Dodgers, this team with Mickey Hatcher and Mike Scioscia, and yeah, I know the Bulldog was great. I don't know, Kirk Gibson was the MVP, but Kirk Gibson won an MVP. He didn't even barely hit 30. He didn't even hit 30 home runs and didn't have any 100 RBIs, but he was so impactful in so many ways. He won an MVP in '88 before he got hurt. And the Dodgers win that series. And here I'm rolling with the O'Malleys, who've owned the Dodgers for years, Fred Claire's. And then all of a sudden, the Dodgers start getting these rookies of the year left and right. And this is right when my high school years were coming. And I'm just like, man, we're getting rookies of the year. The Dodgers are going to start dominating and winning World Series finally, like in bunches. Yeah, that didn't happen. The Yankees won a bunch of World Series in the '90s. And then fast forward to after they traded Mike Piazza, that was a dagger in the heart for me, because that was my guy. And then I kind of followed the Dodgers like I did as much as I could. And then, of course, that scumbag that still owns the parking lots, Frank McCourt, he takes over. And there was some seasons there that were pretty miraculous. 08 especially, 08 and 09. I still, one bad pitch cost the Dodgers a World Series in 2008. And then things got fixed a few years later when the Guggenheims took over. And since then, they've just been basically winning and winning and winning and giving us a reason to pay attention. And I'm very happy with that. As far as the Lakers are concerned now, I don't know what's going to happen with the post-LeBron AD era. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to play till he's 45. Don't know.
I hope he doesn't. I mean, it has to be, get off this train. Can we please get off this train? I mean, that's all I think. Don't get me wrong. I mean, and this is the thing, same thing like Bronny, he brings more than just basketball, but at the same time, sooner or later, a team has to start thinking about the future. If we're only thinking about the present, we basically invest so much money, we're so all in, and then if we crap out, basically we're left with nothing. So I mean, we're going to be really, really bottomed out, and I don't think that we should be more well run enough to avoid those pitfalls. I mean, obviously, after Kobe left, we had everything in Kobe. We started going down. It was actually a really nice transition for us because we still had Kobe, but at the same time, we were starting to collect a good amount of rookies until we drew in that next big star. So now it should be the same exact process. It's almost kind of like the Packers. You basically, you get your guy, you ride him out until basically you get a chance to get your next guy coming in, and maybe those two can't coexist in the same space at the same exact time. And you have to let LeBron ride off into the sunset. And hopefully AD is that maybe solid player, but it's a if and a but every single year about whether or not AD is going to be healthy for the entire season. So, but so much a team can feel prisoner to that situation and not just say, all right, let's just blow it up and rebuild from the beginning, but we have to come out of this last 5 years to be 7 years by the time LeBron is done. We have to, other teams have done less and are still satisfied with what they've gotten over the last 5 years. At the same time, the Lakers, we're the Lakers. We deserve more. We put a lot into it. I don't say deserve. Let's not say deserve. We demand more. So I feel like it would be a loss if we basically come out of this LeBron era with only one championship. Let's see if we could bring one more in, and then we start to rebuild. To be held captive to LeBron James for the next 4 years would be Stockholm syndrome, and we literally sign Bryce, LeBron's rolling up, and he's next thing you know, he's the coach, and it's just going to be we've turned the page. I feel like this is a good transition period for us, that where we have some good pieces we could trade or we could build on with AD. LeBron leaves, we could bring another max player in, and we have the coach and the system that, can help us to propel us into the future.
Well, some great thoughts, but I think Bryce is available or can go in the draft in 2 years. I think, Nakomi, if I remember correctly, just as a reference point. But yes, I hope history doesn't repeat itself. And whatever happened last night, great, feel good moment. Let's move on. Let's get the Lakers.
I didn't feel good about it. I had indigestion. I had a visceral feeling about it when it came in. I was just like, oh, please don't make this be hubris.
Well, immediately Minnesota went on a 7-0 run, so that tells you exactly all you need to know. So, yeah, it was, and you could see Edwards, like you talked about with his motivational speech, but when they came back out of that timeout and, he came in,
he was offended.
They were singling him out.
He was offended. Yeah. They were offended that you would bring in this kid. He's less than, not even, I don't want to say less than a rookie. He's a rookie, but at the same time, you're insulting us by bringing him in with the starters, basically to when you're up, and don't think that we're not going to respond. Exactly. So I'm glad we made it out alive. That's all I got to say.
Well, it's funny because Sean, who's nice, absolutely fantastic fan of the show, he sent me a letter. He said it's a fraternity of the NBA, and they won't go out of their way to target to Bronny. And I was thinking to myself, Edwards would be the first one in line to talk smack, and
he's the right one.
Make a point out of Bronny, and he tried to last night in that brief moment. But yeah, as Joe and I have said, this is a move the Lakers have done. They got what they asked for. They're getting all the money in from the Bronny jerseys. Yeah, that's great and all, but we need to win. That's what we're here for, and that's what we're all about as Lakers fans. The fans, Hernan, who still has faith in the chat, still has faith that Bronny may become something someday, and all the other fans out there that have just ignored all the minutes that he's played in Summer League, all the minutes that he's played in preseason, and absolutely stunk it up. They want to take those brief moments in time where he's played against third and fourth stringers where he looked and to say, you know what, there's something there. It's like, okay, if you want to go ahead and do that, fine, by all means. But people that watch the game like us know, if his name was John Smith as opposed to Bronny James, you guys would say, what the hell is this guy even doing on the roster? It's just that simple.
That's the part where all the fuel comes from. The fact that you've had Rich Paul bring his dumb ass out and say he would have earned a spot in it. Like, dude, shut up. Like, just stop talking. We're not stupid. And anybody who believes it is stupid. I'm not stupid. You're not stupid. You're not stupid. Most of the people on the chat aren't stupid. It's like, come on. Interesting stat, though, from last night that I got. Last night's win. When AD leads the team in scoring, the Lakers are 198 and 74. When LeBron leads the team in scoring, it's almost flipped. 88 and 84. Well, I'm sorry,
I believe it.
88 and 184.
I believe it.
Very, very Magic Johnson-like. I remember hearing back when I was growing up, when Magic would drop 40 points, they'd always lose. It was a weird stat that's how it was. But LeBron's job is to facilitate. That's his number one. The best Laker team with LeBron and AD was when he won the assist title. And last night, probably the best part of last night, if you are trying to gauge the whole year, yeah, LeBron played 35 minutes, but I didn't even notice he was there half the time. It was the most relaxed 35 minutes he can play. So if you want to take advantage of him eating up those kind of minutes, yet it's not stressed minutes, then you've done yourself a favor by involving AD to the point where, and the big man thing, this has been going on for years, folks. When you don't feed the big man is not going to be motivated to play. AD is no different than any other big man. Shaq was vocal about it, so it made it easier. And the way the league was set up at that time, you'd be stupid not to give him the ball. But you got to feed the big man. And Darvin Ham for 2 years fed his own ass. He never fed anything that mattered. After one game, JJ seemed to get AD the damn ball, and look at the results.
Absolutely. I like LeBron and Reeves working in tandem, and sometimes D'Lo just being connective tissue and facilitators. If you're open, take a shot. Obviously, Reeves to me gets a bigger green light. Bron is going to do Bron things whenever he, decides to do it, but definitely he should be taking more of a, not specifically role player, but the top role player. If he was going to be a player in the pecking order, definitely it should be AD. It should have been AD for the past couple of years, transitioning to that situation. But at the same time, I don't think it's not that AD didn't want to take the keys. I feel like it was the organization wasn't setting him up in the position to work in the way that they are working right now. I loved the fact that he only had 16, and I only saw maybe 2 or 3 times where he tried to go ISO ball and it didn't work, and he ended up having to pass it out and let someone else cook. And I felt like the more he realizes that if we work in this system, it just might work, and you actually might get yourself to the goal. You might get yourself to the goal that you're looking for and just be a complementary piece. He needs to start thinking of himself as a complementary piece rather than the focal point.
Before we head on out and before you give everyone the update on what you're doing at your awesome channel, Call Me Nakomi, which I have subscribed to, and hopefully you will out
Thank you
there
very
as
much.
well. Want to go ahead. This is a major part of our discussion here each and every time out is the bench, which was one of the least productive benches in the league last year. Came in, we thought we had a lot of good pieces that Rob had filled, but unfortunately didn't work out to be the case. With that, there's more of a spotlight because AD and LeBron are getting 1 year older. LeBron is closing in on 40 and AD is closing in on 32, if I'm not mistaken. And with that, more minutes, how much you're going to rely on them. So our bench is now becoming a more prominent as far as how good or not so good they'll be this season, which will dictate a lot of how successful the season will be. And one of those bench components is Max Christie.
Yes.
And Dalton Connect. Max Christie, depending on who you ask on this show, not us, because I said he might be rotation player at some point down the line, but not yet. Joe, Stone, Hansen, and John Costa have called him, like Bronny, not an NBA player. Dalton Connect in that first game, really in the limited minutes that both players got, really got the upper hand over Max Christie. But Max Christie was still called upon first. throughout the preseason and in that first game. Your thoughts on this dichotomy between those two? Because I think ultimately you're going to have to choose one. And when Vando gets back, and if JJ wants to run his vaunted 9-man rotation, he is going to have to commit to one. And for us, it has clearly been Connect.
I'm going to wait, but the potential of Connect is great right now. It's likely that he will take over as the main bench substitution ahead of Max Christie. It's just what it is. Max Christie's had 2+ years now to show something, but he's not capable of being a rotational player in this league. It's just not in the cards. I'm sorry, his talent isn't there. Connect is a Bogdan Bogdanovic clone in terms of physicality, and he has elevation. He has a kind of a personality that is going to work. If he works hard, I mean, he puts in the work. This guy could be a borderline all-star, but he's going to have to work and work and work. A lot of guys don't work like that. A lot of guys will kind of just do their thing, have a niche, still get paid, and go about their business. Unfortunately for the Lakers, they need a massive gem here. They almost need a third star from him so that they don't have to go get it. It's not likely that he'll be a third star. It'll be too late by the time if he was to get there. But it would be nice to have him in 3 or 4 years being that guy if they can continue to do what they've been doing for years. And that's if they lose a star, they can go get a star. But the CBA right now it's just making things much, much harder, especially with these super max contracts. I don't know how anybody's going to leave their teams if that's on the table.
Nakomi, what are your thoughts on the Max Christie debate that we are constantly having on the show between Max Christie? Because there are certain members of our audience that are really behind Max Christie, and then there are others, well, most of us, that are more behind Dalton Connect.
So when Max Christie was drafted, I saw him as being more of a defender than an offensive player. And I feel like he did grow into being more of a 3-and-D player. Last year, he showed himself to have a bit of a ability to make that open shot. When the ball's being swung around or they kick it out to him, but it didn't really seem as though he was the create your own shot kind of guy. So I think that I at least I personally look at Max Christie as offensive upside, limited offensive upside, but more of his value is in the defensive end, which unfortunately or fortunately is something that we actually need. And we have him to fill a role in that, to be our designated, guard defender, in probably most of our games coming up when we have a guard or two to have to worry about. Now, I felt like definitely Darvin Ham should have played him more last year, so we can have a little bit better of a picture of what he could be offensively. In the most that we really saw him, or what he could show, that what he could do was in the summer league prior to the year prior to last year, to this year's summer league, last year's summer league. He showed at taking that number 1 role over Jalen Hood-Schifino, which obviously didn't show much either. So he looked like a Rolls Royce compared to Jalen Hood-Schifino's Camry, right off the top. So he definitely looked like he was a lot more polished, and I was hoping to see him grow in the next year. But Darvin Ham must be one of those coaches who doesn't believe in playing young players, or maybe he just didn't see in Max Christie, like Joe doesn't see in Max Christie, the what he could be. But I do like to see to give rookies that opportunity or young players that opportunity. Now, Connect and Christie are kind of night and day, where his offensive ability is, honestly, I kind of see it as ceilingless in this NBA that we have, because if you have three, will travel. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, Connect and Austin Reeves should basically be on this team for the next 5 years, the next iteration of the Lakers. I feel unless we're getting Anthony Edwards or Tatum into the team, those guys should be here for the next 5 to 6 years. I can't believe I wouldn't be able to believe that I would see the Lakers allow Austin Reeves and Connect to walk out the door with their abilities offensively, and just their get up and go, their motor. They have great motors. So Connect, I see that. I honestly, when I look at it, due to the fact that Christie's number one asset to me is defense, Connect should be the first one off the bench. I completely agree with Joe, but I feel like Christie is not dispensable. Or if I use that the right way, he's not a player that you can forget about. I'd rather have Christie out there than Cam Reddish. At least I know that Christie can finish more at the rim, and he's definitely a better shooter. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to have players out there like Christie, like Cam, and like Gabe Vincent, who are going to be our number one guys on the defensive assignments. But you have to be able to bring offense. And so we're kind of with that dilemma of offense or defense. And I feel like JJ is going to be one of those coaches that, he wants to preach defense. And that's why he has those other assistant coaches on the bench. But I feel like JJ is going to kind of try to turn the Lakers into the new Golden State. Put up threes. That's the currency of this current state of the league.
Well, that they follow trends, and with the Celtics, averaging more threes than anyone, almost getting 30 last night. That's the trend that all these other teams want to follow. They feel that that's now the secret of their success at this point in time, and in doing so, a player like Connect, who has no conscience and has been given the green light to go ahead and do so, it in a way, it'll be good to see. Alan, in our chat, he was talking about, well, some of those threes or some of those shots may be ill-advised or whatnot, but A, he's a rookie, B, he's learning, and C, he's been told. And in fact, they had a meeting the morning of the game yesterday, JJ and him, about what his role will be. And you could see his role will be to shoot, and oh, by the way, shoot as well. So
exactly. I actually like that method, as far as, especially, it depends on your rookie. You got to know your audience. But Dalton Connect is that kind of guy coming out of college, who was
as an older rookie
as an older rookie. So it's not like he's this young guy who still has a lot of development to go on. He has a great shot. He could finish around the rim. He's not afraid to go up and put a dunk, put in a dunk or a put back. He's not selfish with the ball, but he can be if you give him the green light. They gave him the green light, and he chooses to be a team player. You got to love it, but he's not fearless. He's not fearless. You want to feed that. To me personally, if I was running a team, I'd want to feed that in my scorers, the guys that I want to be my go-to scorers later on. Feed that confidence first, and then you pull back on the leash a little bit. When you're ready to really funnel that energy into what you need him to do, do that later. Right now, he's young. Go ahead. What do we have to lose? It's pretty much kind of the Lakers season is kind of house money. Not a lot of people have a lot of expectations about it for us, except for the Lakers, the Laker fans ourselves. So, who are we disappointing except for ourselves if we basically go ahead and, throw caution to the wind? Go ahead and green light that kid.
Any 2 cents to put in there, Joe, before I give it to Nakomi to give the hard sell before we head on out?
I'm going to gauge this another week. I don't
Okay.
think. I think the Lakers are going to play this to win. I don't think they're going to allow anybody to suck. I don't think so. That time is gone. If this is what the result's going to be, I just don't know yet. I think Laker fans tend to take one game sometimes and go one way or the other, depending on the win or loss. I'm still not gonna. If they open up the first 4 games 3-1, I'm gonna be much better than I am now. But it's still, you gotta wait. This is about winning championships, and right now they're not winning a championship this year, according to what's going on. Something has to come their way, talent-wise, somehow. And the numbers and the rules don't show that it's going to happen. Even if Rob wanted it, he's already put this in a situation where you can't really do anything. There's no flexibility. They would need to get extremely lucky somehow, and I have no idea how to. I don't know what kind of luck would need to happen for that to happen. So just let this. They always said, "Let the game come to you." Right? I'm letting this season come to me. Let me see what's going on. I've already gone scorched earth enough during the summer. I was happy to kind of calm down a little bit yesterday because winning just feels good enough to where you can do that.
It is the best elixir, isn't it?
It is. Winning solves everything. Winning allows you to be humbled. Winning allows you to be to deal with your incorrect assessments. If you're that kind of guy, most people are pansies and admitting that they were wrong because they self-esteem or whatever the hell it is. But we're waiting. We're going to wait. I'm going to wait and see what's going on. However, in terms of Max Christie, I don't think they're going to have to wait long on that one. Max Christie's not him. He's not even her. He's not good. And I'm sorry, he's just not good. I think he'll have a great career in Europe if he wants it, but NBA, I shouldn't say that. No, he can have a 11.
We need defenders. Someone needs defenders off the bench.
He can't defend a telephone pole, from what I've seen.
I hear you.
I'm not saying that. And if he's expecting the guard, he is by physical and skill situations, he's really a small forward. If you're gonna put him on an elite shooting guard, oh my God, I don't even know. That could put him out to pasture at that point. But then at the same time, if you're going to put him next to a elite wing guy, he'll get torched. Just what it is.
So with that, a great conversation. I tell you what, it was awesome, Nakomi, to have you here. You are most welcome to come back anytime you want, whether it's for a regular show, one of our post games. If I do pregame, you're always welcome to come back anytime you want. The invitation is always open to you, Nakomi. But before we end it out, it's time for the hard sell. You've got a great YouTube channel that you need to promote. So we are shameless in our promotion here. So we hope you are as well.
Okay, well, CallMeNakomi World, that's my YouTube channel. I am CallMeNakomi, and I started out my YouTube channel covering a book series called The Wheel of Time. So I basically expanded into other entertainment, and now, of course, I'm sharing my love of basketball and other sports on CallMeNakomi World. This is your one-stop shop for entertainment and sports on YouTube. You could always find me also on Instagram. That's a great place to find out what I'm going to be doing on my YouTube channel if you're not following me there. But if you do go to my YouTube channel, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification button because I do a lot of live streams. So usually you'll catch me sometime during the week talking about football. I want to pull you. I want to, ask you guys about some fantasy football from time to time. So I would love to be on during one of those shows.
Well, we can actually do that here in a second once we're finished. So yeah, absolutely.
I'm on the East Coast, so I might have to just call it a night after a couple seconds. No but I would love to come back for another time.
We usually do it Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll let you know. We usually do it Tuesday or Wednesday at 8:30 p.m., 11:30 your time, but 8:30 Usually I have my fellow host along with Joe, Chris Ardieri, who's one of our football experts, come in as well. But yeah, I'll give you the heads up on that. Absolutely, Komi.
No problem. I would love to be back, Gerald. Thank you so much for having me. Joe, it was amazing meeting you. Great conversation. The basketball history, the Lakers are, the creme de la creme. And I love basically being able to come out and talk to the community and talk to lots of these content creators out there. So I hope that you guys will come and visit me on my channel, leave a comment. I love to talk and engage with my viewers and to subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel, and I appreciate you guys and your time. And I'd like to ask one question: do I start Kyler Murray or Sam Darnold?
Good question. You go ahead. Yeah, that's. I know they're coming off a loss, Joe. They're unbeaten. In Miami, they're celebrating because they're coming off that loss. Every time that the final unbeaten team or one of the final unbeaten teams gets beaten, they're always drinking that champagne. But Sam Darnold's having a heck of a year. And places before last week, he was one of the top picks for MVP. With Justin Jefferson, I'm still going for Darnold. I know Murray is just that wild card and he can run, which something Darnold doesn't do. He can get you running TDs, which get you more points. But I think with Jefferson out there, and obviously the fact that they should be pissed off after what happened last week, I'm going with Darnold. What are your thoughts?
Short week. On the road. I know they're not playing a tough team, but
yeah, that's another reason why.
I might need a.
That's a good question, Nakomi.
That's as pick 'em as they get.
They're in on my bench. I'm trying to figure out my lineup, and that's one of the big question marks that I have. I'm leaning towards Darnold because I've had Kyler and he's been hit and miss, but he's going against Miami, who has pretty much one of the best quarterback defenses in the league right now. They're allowing the fewest points, so I'm going to lean Darnold because they have that bad taste in their mouth after playing the Lions.
Darnold and Minnesota are not that kind of team, though, to where they're like, "Oh, we screwed up." They're playing above their heads a little bit.
Possible. House money. I completely agree. No one had any expectations after losing Cousins that Sam Darnold was going to go in there and pretty much be, Kirk Cousins 2.0, and it was going to be immediate connection, and that Aaron Jones was actually going to be good Aaron Jones and last this long in the season without getting hurt, basically. But I will say this: I like having Sam Darnold as a quarterback going into the the second half of the season with TJ Hawkinson coming back soon. I think it might open up a lot more for that team. So I think I'm going to go Sam Darnold.
There you go. Absolutely. Great choice indeed. Joe, any last thoughts before we head on out? He's still wondering. You're tormenting him, Nakomi. You're tormenting him.
I have plenty of other guys that have question marks on my team right now. So, hey, I figured with two professionals here that, I asked tons of people, hey, who do you want to do? Who would you start? I have tons of question marks on my family league right now. I'm doing pretty good in my other two leagues. So it's just my family league that I have all the question marks in. My brother and my sister distracted me during the draft, and I'm paying for it for the rest of the league, for the rest of the season.
That's okay. So, just seeing him like this makes me all the more happy.
Hey,
I'm going to go with Kyler.
You're going to go with Kyler? Okay.
Part of it probably despite me.
What?
Nothing.
Marvin Harrison Jr. should be back this week, even though.
Yeah, the thing is with Minnesota, again, they played above their heads. They got humbled by Detroit. Darnold is having a good start, but a lot of times when you get this surprise performance by someone who hasn't played well in his career consistently, now the tape starts to accumulate. And people start finding out the little the little intricacies on how to get to someone. And usually a loss like this kind of brings you back down to earth.
It teaches people the formula.
And it's a short week. It's a
That
short
too.
week. Typically, offenses don't play well on short weeks.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying play it safe and go with Kyler Murray.
That's what I've been doing all season, but I need that.
Go with your instincts. If you think Darnold's the guy, go with it. Because then if you're wrong, it was your first instinct. It doesn't matter.
And I'm fine. It's all right. Yeah. It is what it is. It's my league that I'm pretty much losing, and I'm holding on for dear life to try to be in the playoffs. So thank you guys. Appreciate your time. I really appreciate it.
Let me know if you want me to come on the show anytime.
Same here with me as well.
Let us know, Nakomi.
Heck yeah, appreciate that.
Community.
Yep, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, guys. I really appreciate your time. I will definitely reach out to you guys.
You did fantastic, by the way. You're great.
We're going to close it out here. It is Call Me Nakomi World.
The channel's Call Me Nakomi World, yes, but you could call me Nakomi.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Subscribe today.
Yes.
To that channel, Call Me Nakomi World. Yes, it is Call Me Nakomi. Please go ahead and support her today at Call Me Nakomi World. Make sure you follow her social media. Make sure you go ahead and like her videos, subscribe, and tell her friends. Tell your friends. Tell everyone's friends that you like and subscribe to Call Me Nakomi, and also as well us here at the Lakers Fast Break
Good job,
Podcast.
Gerald. Good job.
Shut up, Joe.
I'm out of water.
Well, you better drink it soon because we're going to come back here in a few with Inside Sports Fantasy Football. But I'll let you go get it.